Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Schurz Morning Show. As you can see, we are not in our usual digital media set. Today, we are broadcasting from a brand new location here at CAN TV. Now, speaking of big things, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Yes, that magical time of the year when love is in the air and the price of chocolate goes up faster than my blood sugar. Whether you're planning a romantic date or just hanging out with friends, remember, it's not about the gift, it's about the thought. And if that thought happens to come with a giant teddy bear and a mountain of Ferrero chocolates, well, who are we to judge? But all jokes aside, today we want to address an important and often overlooked subject that many people find difficult to discuss. Consent. While it is a sensitive topic, it's one that everyone should understand. We know that sharing personal stories can be tough, but that's why we've brought in 3 special guests that we can discuss this issue with. 2 professional Schurz counselors and 1 Schurz student. Together, we'll dive into this crucial conversation, hoping to provide valuable insights. Let's all take a moment to listen to and learn from each other, as this is something we all need to be aware of. Please note that this episode contains a trigger warning, so if you're sensitive to this topic, feel free to take care of yourself. Without further ado, let's welcome our 2 counselors to navigate this conversation. So hello guys, can you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Rebecca Rollins, and I'm the school social worker at Schurz High School.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Sol Loxton. I'm one of the school counselors at Schurz High School.
All right. Thank you for telling me who you are. And I have 3 questions for you, Ms. Rollins. What does the responsibility for stopping lie between the 2 people?
I think that's kind of a hard question to answer with just like a specific response, but I think it's pretty simple when you just say no, right? So if somebody is saying no, or if they appear like they're not interested, I think it's the responsibility of the other person to kind of be able to see those clues too. So listening and like being able to see some of those nonverbal cues, I think is really helpful when just in one of those types of situations. And I think, there's 2 people involved, right? So one person is saying no, the other person needs to be respectful and stop whatever is happening.
And what can the person do if that other person doesn't want to stop? What else could that person do?
If somebody is in a situation where they're feeling uncomfortable, they always have the right to leave, right? So nobody's forcing them to be there. And if they're feeling uncomfortable, then they're probably in a situation that they don't want to be in, and with a person that they don't want to be with if they're not respecting what they're saying to them, or the nonverbal cues that they're giving them. So they have the right to get up and leave, and tell the person, like, you're not listening to me, you're not respecting me, and I'm going to leave right now.
What misunderstandings or myths do people believe regarding consent?
I think one of the biggest things is that, like, once 2 people have been intimate with each other, they think that they no longer need consent, or that they no longer need to respect what the other person is feeling or thinking. So it's like, once we've done this, then we should be able to do it whenever we want, or whenever I want, or something like that. And I think the important thing to remember is that, like, consent is something that you need to give more than once, right? So it's not something just the first time you get close to somebody, or the first time you kiss somebody, or it could be every time, right? Because sometimes people are just, maybe they've done it one time, but that doesn't mean that they're comfortable with doing it again. Or maybe they are not in the mood, or something like that. So I think a lot of people just think like, oh, okay, well, we've already done this, so why can't we do it again? And I think that that's definitely a misconception, because just because you've done something once does not mean that you are okay doing it again, and it to be something that you guys talk about again.
And if I can add, I think also that people don't understand or think that once you say okay, then that, or yes, that's, you cannot change your mind. That's not true. You could always change your mind, like, at any point.
How would someone know when sexual consent has been given?
I think there's a couple of different ways that you can give consent. Obviously, the easiest way would be to ask somebody and get like a verbal response. Yes, I want to do this. But that can be a little awkward at times. So I think it's about those verbal and nonverbal cues too. So, if somebody is appears like they're interested and wanting whatever is happening to happen, then that can be one way of giving consent. But obviously just asking and being direct, because when you're in a situation where you're that intimate with a person, you should feel comfortable being able to say, hey, are you okay doing this? Or do you want to do this? And the other person should feel comfortable saying yes or no.
All right. Now, these 5 questions that I'm going to ask you are for both of you. Do you think that having sex at a young age could affect their mental health?
I think it makes a difference, right? Because when you're young and you're having all these first experiences, they're a big deal, right? I think at any point of our lives, a first experience is a big deal. So you just want to make sure that when you choose to take that step and when you choose to have that first experience, it's going to stay with you no matter what. And for any person that, it can cause some mental problems or attachments or anything like that going forward with any experience, especially when you're talking about a relationship and a physical relationship experience. I think that stays with you. Yeah.
I actually had been doing some research and see that the younger that people do get involved in like sexual relationships, the higher chances there is to have issues with depression or self-esteem, which makes sense because sometimes when you do something that you're not quite ready to do, you feel like either embarrassed about it, or you feel guilt about it, or you feel like now I have to do this with lots of different people, or this is like an expectation, and that can really impact your self-esteem.
What age gap do you think it's okay to be in a relationship, and does it affect the younger person to give consent?
I think the younger that you are, the age gap matters more, right? So once you're over a certain age, it doesn't seem to be as big of an issue as far as like an age gap. But, being 17 and being 14, that seems like a pretty big age gap. But 30 and 33, that doesn't seem like a big age gap because of maturity, because of development, because of just being able to handle the different situations. So I think it has to do a lot more with like maturity than necessarily like an age gap, because we could be the same age, but maybe I have a different maturity level than another person, right? So that has to play a role too.
Yeah, I would agree. And then also like life experiences, right? Somebody might have had to go through different experiences sooner than somebody else, and that affects how they see things, their maturity level, how they handle big situations, how they handle big emotions that are attached to all that stuff. So yeah, I think it all depends on maturity, experience. But like Mr. Rollins said, that age gap, it depends on where they're at.
What are some ways that one can ask for consent without feeling awkward or ruining the mood?
I think there's like a lot of different ways that people can get that consent. It doesn't have to be like, do you give me consent? Because that would definitely ruin the mood. But, maybe just like, are you enjoying this? Do you like this? Is it okay? Can I come close to you? Can I hold your hand? Do you want to keep doing this? Just general questions like that. Just showing respect, like making sure that the other person is okay with the things that are happening, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that open communication just before even taking that step of considering having these relationships, like just having conversation, because if you're not comfortable having a conversation and being open about what you're okay with, then maybe it's not the time to be having those relationships, right? You want to be able to have those conversations ongoing, not just that first time that you're going to do this, or it's ongoing all the time, like what's okay with you? Has anything changed? Do you like this? Do you don't? It's ongoing and in communication between the relationship.
What are different ways that someone can communicate boundaries?
I think, again, come back to communication, right? You just have to say what you're okay with. And I think it's hard, but we have to learn, like, to stand up for ourselves, right? And advocate for ourselves. Like, I do not like this. And I know that as young adults, it's hard because there's also wanting to fit in, wanting people to like you, and having that perception of what others think. But our goal, I would hope as professionals, is to guys help you all get there and like be able to advocate for yourself, be able to speak for yourself and say, no, I do not like this, no, just not for me, whatever it is, right? And not just in these type of relationships, but in everything that you guys do.
Yeah, I think also like, you know, one thing that I work on with students often is just confidence, right? So feeling confident and being able to open communication, if it's with their parents or with their friends or with a relationship, and having those skills is so important, because I think a lot of young people get into relationships or get into situations and they're probably not quite ready, and it's more just like this physical attraction or this desire to fit in or pressures or things like that, and then they get in these really awkward, uncomfortable situations, and they're not ready to have that, you know, conversation with their partner or be able to say like, I'm not okay with that. But you know, I really try to stress to students is that it's more important than, you know, to get to know somebody first before you even are close to being in a situation like that, because, you know, the better you know your partner, the easier it is going to be for you to share how you're feeling and say no or say yes, or, you know, just be able to talk about what they like, what they don't like, things like that.
How might our culture's views on gender and sexuality lead people to assume sexual consent does... I'm sorry, let me say that again. How might our cultural views on gender and sexuality lead people to assume sexual consent? And does our society give us different messages about the way different genders approach sexual encounters?
Yeah, I mean, I think our society, you know, has different standards for looking at genders, right? And the roles that each of us play in our society. And then when we throw in culture, it's also a big component of it, because, like, for example, I'm Mexican, and in most Hispanic cultures and or Latino cultures, the man is the provider. The woman has to be usually stay-at-home mom, a little bit more submissive, and she has to submit that role. So the consent there is not always there. That conversation is not always there. And things are changing, but it's there's still that traditional sense, or the traditional beliefs are still there, and I think that drives a lot of what we do still. So yeah, I think culture plays a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to be introducing our one student. We're going to keep her name clear, or if she wants to say her name, she can. Thank you for being here. I know you have experienced a traumatic event. I'm just going to let you share your story, and then I'm going to ask you questions after.
Well, it started my freshman year when I met this individual. We were on and off for a couple of months. I'll probably say 2. Eventually, we started dating February 14th, which is a coincidence, right? But it's crazy. And it was all good for a month until we started, getting into that point, of comfortableness, right? I don't know, I just feel like I wanted to fit in a way, because I didn't want anyone to judge me. But when it happened, I was just embarrassed of myself. I felt gross in a way. I didn't want anyone to know, because I didn't want to be judged. But in this one occasion, we had 7th period lunch together, and all of a sudden he just grabs me by my wrist and he makes me go to this place, and he was like, so do you want to do it? And I'm like, no, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, I'm not ready. And he got mad, and it wasn't an aggressive mad at that moment, but I knew that he was mad, and I was just scared, until he grasped me by my shoulders because I wanted to walk away. He grabs me by my shoulders, he puts me in front of him, and he's like, just do it, bro. Like, nobody is gonna see us. Like, no, like, you know, all of it, because I wanted to walk away, and all of a sudden, like, he just grabs me by my shoulders, and he looks me, like, in my eyes, and he tells me, like, just do it. Like, nobody's gonna see us. Just do it. And the way that he saw me, the way that he grabbed me, it just scared me. You know, it scared me, and I started to shake, you know, and I was starting to sweat. I started crying too. Like, you know, like a little tear just came down my eye and stuff. But he didn't care. And I was just too in love at that point that I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just do it. I mean, I have no choice. Like, there's no way of getting out of here. You know, I was scared. And so I did it. And it just kept on going for a couple of months. There were occasions where like he would slap me um on my lower back, and sometimes I had bruises on my thighs, on my arms because of like the way that he would grab me. Um, there was this other occasion where we were arguing, and he was sitting in front of me, and I wanted to walk away, and he grabbed me by my wrist, both my wrists. He locked them up like this, and he sits me down forcefully, like aggressively, and he looks at me. He's like, "You're not going nowhere. We're gonna talk about this right now." And he closes the door, and he's like, "Talk to me," but like he was screaming at me, and I just look at him, and I don't move. And in that moment, like I just started thinking, like, what am I doing here? You know, like, what am I doing here? Like, this is not okay. But I didn't want to leave. And it was like that for a couple of months. And then eventually, like, he cheated on me after doing it the first time. And when he did, I felt really gross. And I just feel like I got taken advantage of. But yeah.
I'm sorry that that happened to you. I'm gonna start asking you the questions. How does it feel to be able to say stop and have that be respected?
Well, when that happened to me the first time, I was weirded out because it was something new. Um, I was just like, like, you know, it was kind of weird. Like, I didn't know what to say to that. I was just expecting for like, him to do it, you know, and I don't know. I just felt loved and respected. My boundaries were respected. I had a full-on like smile on my face when that happened because it's like, this is weird, but I like it, you know. So yeah.
How does it feel when the other individual doesn't respect your boundaries?
I just don't feel loved. It feels like I get sad, you know, and it just makes me feel like yeah, like I'm not respected in a way, and just not heard. Because when you say no, it's like they completely ignore it and they keep begging and they eventually do it. And it's just like when I say stop, like you gotta stop, you know? So it's like I can't get away from this because I'm scared, so I just gotta let it happen.
How would it have felt if the opposite person have kept going a step further even when you have told them to stop?
Um, well, I just started like shaking and I got mad. I remember I got mad and I was like, look, like I said no, and then he just turns around and he just stares at me. And his eyes were like, they looked so evil. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just the vibe that like I got scared. You know, I was just like, whoa, you know, slow down, you know. But I don't know. I just felt really nervous, really scared. Like I was just thinking like, oh, how do I get out? Like, how do I escape? Do I just start running? You know, and I eventually knew that that wasn't gonna work out because he was gonna find me either way. So, you know, and I was just too scared to go and complain about it. But I honestly wish I would have done it. But yeah.
All right. Thank you for answering all my questions. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your story. I know this was hard, but thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and if you'd like to catch more episodes, make sure to scan our QR code for easy access to all of our episodes. And for a dose of fun and random content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok. Also, we're excited to announce that we are currently looking for a new host to join our team. If you think you've got what it takes to bring more energy, creativity, and fresh perspective to the morning show, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us for more details, and maybe you could be the next voice of our audience tunes into every morning. As we approach Valentine's Day, remember to always prioritize consent and make sure everyone feels comfortable and respected. Stay safe, be kind, and spread love in all the right ways. Thanks again for tuning in. Have an awesome week, and we are out.